The UK, the legacy of an empire. There once was an empire where the sun never set. An empire where London was the heart, and the pound sterling was the lifeblood of the global economy. They believed they were born to write the rules, to shape the world's map, from the deserts of Africa to the mountains of Asia. Today, what do we see when we look at the UK? A beautiful nation with magnificent architectural heritage and stories of a golden age. But is it a powerful empire? Or just a living museum, where the world comes to admire a faded glory? This is the big question. Why did an once invincible empire decline? The strange thing is, its downfall didn't come from a military enemy, but from its own complacency and delusions. Part 1. The Golden Age and Post-War Cracks. In the late 19th century, the British Empire controlled not only nearly 25% of the Earth's land area, but also the minds of humanity. Children in India learned Shakespeare, merchants in China traded in pounds, and Africans traveled on railways built by the British.
This was the peak of expansion, when institutional and cultural power were exported along with goods. But every empire has its limits. World War I was the first shock, showing that blood and gold were not infinite. While Britain and Europe were exhausted, a new power quietly rose across the Atlantic, the United States, in the role of a major creditor. The transfer of power had begun subtly. By World War II, the shock became fatal. To sustain the war, Britain had to mortgage its future, borrow from the US, and sell off its assets. After 1945, a wave of independence erupted. India, the jewel in the crown, gained freedom, leading to the collapse of the entire colonial system. This is the Post-Imperial syndrome. Britain lost not only its territory, but also its raison d'etre on the international stage. The sun of the empire was no longer shining. It was setting. Part 2. The Replacement. The US, the Soviet Union, then China. The world order after World War II had no place for Britain. The stage belonged to two superpowers, the US and the Soviet Union. Britain was relegated to a junior partner, losing its role in shaping the game. Economically, the pound sterling collapsed, no longer a global reserve currency. The climax was in 1976, when Britain, once a lender to the world, had to hold out its hand for a bailout from the International Monetary Fund, IMF. This was not just an economic crisis, but a massive blow to the nation's pride. In diplomacy, Britain joined the European Union, EU, but was always in a half-in, half-out position. They wanted to benefit from the common market, but refused to be bound by common rules. Britain was no longer a rule-maker, but a struggler trying to adapt to the rules of others. Culture and soft power? English is still an international language, but this power is just a legacy of the past. Meanwhile, the US controls Hollywood, the most powerful entertainment industry, and China controls global supply chains, the lifeblood of the global economy. The UK could only live on memories. 3. Brexit. The historical self-sabotage. When Brexit was sold to the people as a rebirth dream, a chance to reclaim the status of global Britain, it was, in fact, the peak of desperate nostalgia. It was a false belief that, by simply separating from Europe, Britain would be great again. The reality was harsh. London is no longer Europe's largest financial center. Businesses are fleeing. Supply chains are in disarray. Britain lost the collective strength of the EU, becoming an isolated island in an increasingly integrated world. Furthermore, Brexit has stirred up a wave of secession in Scotland and tensions in Northern Ireland, directly threatening the unity of the UK itself. Brexit is proof of an empire unwilling to accept the truth. It is no longer a superpower, but it clings to the illusion of its past. Conclusion: an empire that died in delusion. Britain did not fall due to a military defeat. It did not lose its position to an external enemy. It lost itself because it refused to change, refused to confront a world that had moved on. An empire died with the phrase, "We used to be great," instead of being brave enough to ask, what can we become in this new era? A lesson beyond the UK. The decline of the British Empire is not just the historical story of one nation. It is a mirror reflecting on all powers, all organizations, and even all individuals. Anyone who is complacent in the glow of the past will be left behind. Any system that doesn't dare to adapt to change will self-destruct. And any power, no matter how brilliant, is just a temporary illusion if it lacks humility and the ability to innovate. A warning for the present. Today, not just the UK, but many other nations are facing the same challenge. Do they dare to face the truth that 21st century power no longer lies in navies or colonies, but in technology, data, artificial intelligence, and the ability to cooperate globally? Do they dare to ask, are we really leading? Or just repeating the delusions of the last century? The lesson from the decline of the British Empire is a timeless warning. No power is eternal without humility and the ability to adapt. The question still echoes. Can the UK find a new role, a post-imperial identity, in a changing world? Or will it forever be a ghost of glory, standing on the sidelines as history continues to write its new chapter? What do you think? Can the UK be reborn, or will it live only in the illusions of the past? Share your thoughts in the comments. And if you found this video valuable, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, so we can not only look back at history, but also draw lessons for our present.